What's good, YouTube? What's poppin'? Leo Fortune back with another video, back with another reaction, and back with another banger, y'all. So today we're gonna be reacting to Gucci's Almost Went Bankrupt. Y'all know Gucci. Gucci has like the name brand, the clothing brand. They almost went bankrupt, y'all. You see, so this can happen to anybody. And if this is true, we're gonna react to this video. If this is true, then guess what? There's hope for all of us, because that's a big brand that's been around for, if I'm not mistaken, over 100 years. And I mean, we know there's hope for all of us. I don't need Gucci to remind me of that, but sometimes some of you do need that, because sometimes we think that these companies have it made, and all successful companies or successful people don't go through ups and downs. So if you're going through an up and down right now, yo, trust me, get yourself back together. You can get up. So let's get into this video. But before we do, please do me a favor, subscribe, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. It's all love. And let's get right into this video. Okay, so
Gucci is crowned.
First of all, y'all like Gucci? Comment down below. Let me know if you guys even like Gucci like that. What's your swag? What's your preference?
The world's hottest brand. Throughout its 100-year history, it's been worn by royals, first ladies, and celebrities. Today, it's no longer exclusively for the elite and remains the ultimate status symbol. And it all started with a dishwasher, waiter, and bellhop.
It's a fact. It's a fact. All the royal people, all the rich people. I remember growing up, I always see the rich people with the Gucci. And then hip hop made it so big, you know what I mean? But that was even actually, yeah. So, but I like Gucci personally. But let me see, if I had my favorite brand, I would say is, I don't know. Maybe Gucci, no, or Louis. I don't know. You guys tell me, what's yours?
On March 26, 1881, Guccio Gucci was born in Florence, Italy. His parents were humble merchants who made straw hats and expected Guccio to take over. But by the time he turned 17, the business went bankrupt and the family fell apart. Driven out of his house by his father, Guccio hopped on a freighter to England. Once he arrived, one of London's most lavish hotels, the Savoy, took him in. There, he worked as a dishwasher, waiter, bellhop, and later an elevator attendant. The job was considered a big deal.
He was a bellhop? Gucci was a bellhop? Bro, so all you guys right now that are working downstairs at the hotel, at the whatever, Shangri-La, the Sheraton, whatever y'all be doing, remember this. You know what I'm saying? And he was a bellboy. And he was a elevator guy. What? Yo, dog. Gucci. You guys know when we talk about Gucci right now? He was the guy taking you upstairs. That's big, yo. That's big. Yeah, this story's got some hope.
Since the hotel was the first in the world to have an electric elevator, and it gave Guccio the rare opportunity to observe its wealthy and famous guests up close. He noticed that all of them traveled with elegant handbags and luggage that were more than just functional items. They were status symbols. He also learned that they were obsessed with the idea of quality and cared very little about the cost. After a few years, Guccio saved enough money to return to Florence and start a new life. He worked for an antique store, married a dressmaker named Ida Cavelli, and started a family. But when the First World War broke out, Guccio was forced to leave home again and serve in the army.
What? Yo, I didn't know all of this. I didn't know he went in the army. So Gucci was like, AKA a peasant too. He was like the peasants, yo. He was like, he was nothing grand. He had a great idea, and this is what great ideas become. Look at today. Now you got royal families wearing his stuff. You got all superstars, all famous people, even to the regular people that work regular jobs. Pretty impressive, Guccio.
Fortunately, he survived and returned to Florence when the war ended. The city's economy was destroyed, but Guccio found work at a company that specialized in quality leather products. The owner taught Guccio the basics of the trade, including how to work with different types of leather. Guccio learned quickly and was asked to open a new store in Rome as their manager. Ida refused to leave Florence, so Guccio had no choice but to travel back and forth. Each time that he returned home, he longed to open his own shop in Florence more and more. One Sunday, Guccio and Ida went for a stroll around Florence. While walking by a narrow side street, they spotted a small shop for rent. Ida encouraged Guccio to take over and pursue his dream of opening up a shop in the city. With her blessing, Guccio didn't hesitate and pulled their savings and a loan from an acquaintance.
Yo, this is a very important story because let me tell you, if you have a wife that doesn't support your dream, man, I feel sorry for y'all because honestly, your girl, your wife should always be trying to support your dream like Guccio's wife did. Right?
He called this shop Valigiria Guccio Gucci, but later shortened it to Gucci. The shop offered leather handbags and luggage that Guccio handpicked from suppliers in Tuscany, Germany, and England. More often than not, Guccio found himself having to commission unique pieces. His experience at the Savoy gave him a knack for sensing what wealthy tourists were likely to buy, and his suppliers fell short of offering them. Eventually, he grew tired of relying on his suppliers and opened a workshop to make and repair his own products. While they became popular among wealthy tourists and the local elite, Guccio was struggling in secret. His family and staff only discovered the truth after he could not hide his tears any longer.
Wow.
He looked like a man facing a death sentence, one of them recalled.
Wow. You see, y'all, adversity, man, it can hit anybody. The most successful companies, clothing companies in the world. Adversity is not exempt from anybody.
Like many entrepreneurs, Guccio struggled to turn a profit within the first few years of opening. Suppliers who let him buy goods on credit were demanding payment, and some clients did not pay what they owed. Guccio was strapped for cash to pay for his bills and had no choice but to give in to what he had feared most. Unless a miracle happened.
See, that's another lesson to learn. I learned that real quick. Don't like when you're first starting off, you can't be giving out merchandise without getting paid. Cash on demand. You know what I'm saying? COD, right? We can't be doing that because this is why what happened, right? You start letting it out and expecting people to come and pay you, and they don't pay you. So cash on demand. You want it, you don't have the money, you can't afford it, then goodbye.
I can't stay open another day, Guccio admitted to his family and staff. Guccio's future son-in-law could not bear to see him in pain as though he was facing a death sentence, so he offered to give him a loan from the savings he put aside to marry his daughter Grimalda.
Wow.
Guccio humbly accepted. Within the next few months, he was able to pay back the loan in full and hire a team of artisans. Each one was responsible for completing a product on their own from start to finish. Sometimes the process involved putting together 100 different pieces and took an average of 10 hours. As Guccio's business and team grew, Italy's leadership changed. Several nations imposed harsh sanctions on the country, and Guccio could no longer buy all the leather he needed. To save his shop from closing a second time, he took a chance on making new products. First, he made handbags and luggage with both canvas and leather. Leather was only applied to the most used parts of the products: the corners, clasps, and straps. Later, he expanded his product line with accessories, including belts, wallets, and shoes. His loafer was the first in the world to have a gilded snaffle. Meanwhile, one of Guccio's sons, Aldo, was thinking bigger. He had traveled all over Europe and discovered many were interested in his family's products. Why not bring Gucci to them, he thought to himself. When he brought up the idea of expanding to other cities, Guccio shot him down. He believed it was too risky and doubted they could come up with the money. Aldo remained convinced that it was a great opportunity and secretly asked their bank for a loan. Guccio eventually caved in and opened a second shop in Rome. It turned out to be the family's savior when the Second World War broke out and Rome became an open city. Soldiers swarmed the shop to buy anything that they could send to their mothers, wives, or girlfriends back home. When the war ended, Guccio scrambled to get loans from several banks to keep both shops open. And while he remained short on supplies, his team continued to make new and more unique products with what they had, including bamboo-handled and pigskin bags.
Yep, they're known
By the
for
early
that.
1950s, Guccio ran a third shop in Milan. Meanwhile, his sons Aldo, Rodolfo, and Vasco were far from home. They secretly flew to New York to find a location for their first American store. With a
Smart.
$6,000 bank loan in their pocket, they settled on a small shop just off of Fifth Avenue. When Guccio found out through a telegram, he was furious. "Come home immediately, you crazy boys," he cabled back. To him, their plans were nothing more than a reckless scheme, but once again, he caved in. Unbeknownst to his sons, it would become one of the last things that he could do for them.
The rise and fall.
1 year later, Guccio's first American shop opened in New York. It made history as one of the first Italian labels to have its own store in the city and was known as one of the most exclusive labels in Europe. Royals and celebrities worldwide were fans, including Queen Elizabeth II, Princess Grace of Monaco, Jackie Kennedy, Sophia Loren, Elizabeth Taylor, and Katharine Hepburn. It was clear that New York was just the beginning of a worldwide expansion and that the Gucci family had much to celebrate. But 2 weeks after opening their store, celebrations came to a halt. Guccio dropped dead from a heart attack as he prepared to go to the cinema with Ida.
No.
In his will, he left Gucci in the hands of Aldo, Rodolfo, and Vasco. Grimalda, whose husband once saved the company from closing, was given nothing. She tried to fight her brothers for a share of the company in court, but returned home empty-handed. Afterwards, business continued as usual. Aldo focused on expanding Gucci abroad, Rodolfo managed its store in Milan, and Vasco ran its factory in Florence. Meanwhile, Gucci's reputation was growing among the elite. And it was all thanks to a product that Aldo once snubbed and many called bizarre: loafers. When Gucci released them in New York, stiletto heels were all the rage. But soon after, women caught on to the comfort and chicness that loafers offered. Eventually, Gucci's loafers became a must-have among men as well. In fact, Frank Sinatra was known to have a large
Can't lie, I got a pair of those.
collection. Over the next few years, Gucci continued to make its mark by opening dozens of stores worldwide and expanding into clothes, perfumes, and watches. It became widely known as a status symbol and unseemingly untouchable, until history repeated itself. 2 years after Gucci launched perfumes and watches, Vasco passed away from cancer.
Oof.
He had no children, so his stake in Gucci was given to his widow, Maria. Aldo and Rodolfo bought her out and split the shares 50-50. Later, Aldo split 10% of his shares with his sons Giorgio, Paolo, and Roberto. Meanwhile, Rodolfo refused to give a single share to his only son, Maurizio. While collectively, the sons had a small
He's like, nah, I'm not giving it to him. This guy's a waste bag.
stake in the company, it was inevitable that they would have to step up. Gucci's business had increased 25 times over the previous decade. Still, Giorgio, Paolo, and Maurizio strayed from their commitments and even rebelled. Giorgio secretly opened his own shop using the family name. Paolo started his own label and outed his father for tax evasion. And after Rodolfo passed away,
he snitched on his pops, huh? Outed his dad for tax evasion.
Maurizio was handed half of the company and kicked Aldo out. From then on, Maurizio became hungry for even more power. He was convinced that the only way that was possible was if he bought his family out, but he didn't have enough money and would need to find an investor. Bankers were intrigued by the idea but were skeptical that a deal would be possible because of all the family feuds. Fortunately, one private investment firm, InvestCorp, was crazy enough to take the risk. They were hardly known in the financial world.
How is that crazy? That's not crazy. Crazy enough to take the risk. That's not crazy. That's smart. They're gonna make mad money. What?
But had made a fortune by saving and taking Tiffany & Co. public. 2 years after a deal was signed, Maurizio successfully bought his family out. But under his leadership, Gucci's glory days were gone, and the company started losing $30 million a year.
Wow.
InvestCorp agreed to save the company under one condition: Maurizio had to leave. Maurizio fought back but eventually walked away. 2 years later, his body was found slumped outside his office in Milan. His ex-wife Patrizia Reggiani hired a hitman to murder him.
No.
Carrying on Guccio's legacy was now left to Investcorp and its new creative director, Tom Ford. Tom replaced Gucci's grunge look with glamour, and soon after, Hollywood went Gucci. From then on, he created must-have pieces every season.
Yo, shout out to Tom Ford, man. Tom Ford is one of my favorite designers, honestly. Super dope designer. You know, you can't even say too much about this guy because there's just endless stuff. He just does and does and does. He's great.
His bold designs led to Gucci reaching record profits of more than $1 billion a year and 2 successful IPOs. Today, Gucci is worth over $17 billion and crowned the world's hottest and fastest growing luxury brand.
Dang.
It's also favored amongst millennials and teens, thanks in part to bringing in an outsider. This is the story of how a dishwasher built a billion-dollar luxury brand that survived a series of war, bankruptcy, and family feuds. If you're interested in...
Hey, y'all. So you guys see it there. You guys we gotta be able to get through war, family feud, bankruptcy, all types of adversity, you know what I mean? And still come on top. So, y'all, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Give me a thumbs down if you don't. It's all love, and subscribe. Thank you. See you next video.